hidden technologies from the Do-It-Yourself series. An engine that runs on a mixture of water and gasoline. The efficiency of a gasoline internal combustion engine is 20 to 25%. Over the past 20 years, engineers have significantly increased this indicator. There won't be a revolution here, as losses cannot be eliminated from the design of the internal combustion engine itself. Engine operating losses, thermal losses are 35%, fuel losses are 25%, mechanical losses are 20%. Engineers are trying to apply the deforming parts of a new geometry, lubricating oils on synthetic holostomers of the latest generation, so-called metal conditioners. But they can't figure out how to use the heat generated from burning fuel. They make maximum use of the flow in turbines for turbocharging to increase the power of the engine, but not to increase its efficiency. The efficiency of a diesel engine with turbocharging reaches up to 53%. Since less heat is lost in a diesel engine, a large part of the fuel is converted directly into mechanical energy, and as a result, it heats up less. And it turns out there has been a technology, or rather a simple engine modification, for about 40 years that allows the use of the thermal energy of exhaust gases to convert the mixture into fuel. Yes, you heard right. The energy of the exhaust gases converts a mixture of 75% water and 25% fuel into a fuel-air mixture that is fed into the engine, and it increases its efficiency. That is, it significantly reduces fuel consumption, since the products of water decomposition are activated in the formed volume. The products, of course, are hydrogen and oxygen. The evolutionary processing of the engine for fuel economy is called the PENTON reactor, or the JET reactor. The scheme of a simple construction and the construction of the reactor itself. The reactor works like this. The processed gases from the exhaust collector are switched to the reactor. They heat the reactor tube to a minimum of 500 grams, sometimes up to a kilogram. They evaporate a water-fuel mixture from a sealed container. The mixture enters the reactor, where water decomposes into hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen reacts with the fuel, increasing hydrogen bonds, and combined with oxygen enters the engine's combustion chamber. As a result, thanks to the thermal energy of the processed gases, full-value fuel is synthesized from a mixture of water and fuel, and the efficiency increases by many tens of %. There is no fantasy here, and no perpetual motion machines. Chemistry combined with physics using thermal energy exhaust gases for fuel synthesis. You can use anything as 25% of the fuel, diluents, crude oil, sunflower oil, waste. But the point will only be in increasing the efficiency and getting fuel economy. Don't confuse this with an engine running on pure water. An example of a 600-watt generator with a 78 cubic centimeter engine. What is its efficiency with such processing? Let's do a simple calculation. To produce 1 kilowatt-hour of electricity, the generator consumes 0.35 liters of fuel. So, this one with a nominal load of 500 watts will consume 0.4 liters of gasoline per hour. From the calculation, 75.25 liters of water and fuel around 2 rubles per hour are needed to obtain half a kilowatt of energy. Not bad if there is no electricity in some place, let's say in remote areas, while fishing, at a dacha, and the like. The peculiarity of such an engine is that it needs to be started in normal mode on regular gasoline, heat the reactor for 10 to 20 minutes, and then switch to a mixture of water and fuel. Measurements of exhaust gas indicators are provided. In the exhaust gases of engines working with the Penton reactor, there is much less carbon monoxide and more oxygen. It is more environmentally friendly. The fuel burns completely as oxygen is released, and the engine even emits its excess. And this is not the only challenge for the Western inventor and his followers. The just-in-time reactor has been tested on many engines. The website has many other examples of installing the reactor on different engines. This was done in the period from 2000 to 2011, including on powerful diesel generators, tractors, motorcycles, and cars. Possibly the technology is working in Europe, and now there are scans of various notes and publications in journals on the site. But later they stopped filling the site. Apparently they closed Sharashkina's office. Analog technologies were also created in Russia at various times. There are many videos on YouTube where the work of a DVS with a DJIT reactor is shown. The question is, why was this development swept under the rug? This is not an eternal engine, but fuel economy. And of course, the answer is the same. Fuel should not be saved but consumed. The answer is understood. This is not an economic issue. It transitions from economic to the flatness of global management. There is also a statement from authoritative experts that there is no economy in such use, and it does not work under load at all. Apparently, you won't know the truth until you try. Here is some more information to consider. There was such a story during the Cold War within the framework of the CAP competition. Yes, Western capitalists also organized friendly tournaments. Germans and Japanese competed in who would win. In the race of technologies to reduce gasoline consumption per 100 kilometers, the story was interesting. First they got down to 3 liters per 100 kilometers, then the Japanese got it down to 1 liter per 100 kilometers, and then they announced that the count had gone to grams. As for how true this all was, it's now impossible to find out. By that time, the Japanese had apparently switched to cold fusion, but in the end they capped this race and set fuel standards. The Japanese are still trying to reduce consumption, but are forced to meet requirements, as the tsunami of 2011 halted their progress. Switch to an electromagnetic fuel-free engine and a water engine. LED lighting powered by an earth battery. We are used to the idea that electricity for lighting should be taken from outside, well, at least from solar batteries in the summertime. But in winter or cloudy weather they do not work. There is not enough sunlight. The built-in battery improves the situation, but the batteries themselves are not eternal. And what if the electricity for the spotlighting of the roads is taken from the earth? This method won't work for full road lighting, but it's quite suitable for navigation. This can also be relevant in case of a power outage or for marking ladders, steps, poles, fences on the site and along it. For this, it is necessary to make a simple galvanic element from copper, cut along a copper pipe and a galvanized profile. Many people have this good in excess. Screw several sections together for maximum surface area. Solder a wire to each electrode. Next, we drill a hole with a hand or another drill to a depth below 2 meters or below the depth of freezing. Where is it? We lower the copper electrode, sprinkle it with soil and water it. Above, we place the galvanized one, also sprinkle it with soil and water it. The galvanic element starts working immediately within 30 minutes. The humidity becomes natural, and the element reduces the output current to the optimal value. This battery is enough to power several LEDs for a very long time. Yes, the current is weak. And to get more out of such a galvanic element, an experienced way was to get such a configuration of electrodes. On the left is a cell, on the right is a table lamp. We got road markers for gates that don't require power supply. They will work for a long time until the metal oxidizes, even in winter. A pellet sinking into the depth of the drilled hole. If you need to power a 20-watt LED projector, you'll need to bury 7 such pellets. Or connect a battery. Take an LED light with a motion sensor. The battery will charge during the day and provide energy for the projector at night. Here's a very simple lighting option. It can be made in a few minutes. It will work in the summer. We solder the wires from the LED to the copper and zinc coated plate, lay the sheets under the brush or road tile and sew on every meter. It should last for 5 years. It won't work in winter. This is what a similar backlight looks like from the inventor. In 2016, a test installation of 21 lighting poles for road barriers was carried out by the developer of these ground batteries in the area of the 17th kilometer of the Mozhaisk highway. And in 2018, they installed 20 ground batteries for lighting barriers at the 76th kilometer of the 1004 Don highway. The inventor of the ground batteries was able to extract 15 whole and 70 volts and about 17 milliamperes of current from one cell using a voltage multiplier. That's just over 1 watt of energy, and that's not bad. And he was able to install lighting for such advertising banners. At night they are powered by a battery plus current from the cell, and during the day the battery recharges. The process is controlled by an inexpensive controller to prevent overcharging and discharging of the battery. The lovebirds are in love with the falcons. The power of 5 Earth batteries yields about 1.5 watts. Here the experimenter extracts energy from the stacks with a discharge. They stand, grow, let them bring benefit. 4 stacks power 3 light-emitting diodes. It seems this method is extremely simple. Even in the times of the Modellist Constructor magazine, they printed such schemes. For powering detector receivers with Earth batteries. Manufacturers are somehow allowed to use solar batteries for such purposes, but no one remembers about Earth ones. And in factory execution, they would become much more reliable and easier to use.